of American Baptist College. And Dr. Lafayette, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haney.
Dr. Lafayette, I think that we've had you on a number of occasions to talk about Dr. Martin Luther King, to talk about the Godfathers program, to talk about the Freedom Rides, and just a whole variety of issues that you've been involved with. Indeed, to talk about American Baptist College as the new president of American Baptist College. But what we'd like to do today is to recognize that January the 20th represents the celebration of the annual Martin Luther King holiday, and that we are indeed fortunate to have in our midst a person who was a very, very close associate of Dr. Martin Luther King and who can give us some sort of personal remembrances of Dr. King that we can't find anywhere else. And so let's try to do that this morning. But first of all, let's talk about you as Bernard Lafayette. Give us some background information about your background and education and some of the things that led you to the presidency of American Baptist College.
Thank you very much. Well, it was a long journey, and I must say it started off in Tampa, Florida. I'm a native of Tampa, and when I decided to go to college, I was already interested in being a religious leader. I had no idea I was going to be into the formal clergy, but I had this inclination that I wanted to be of some service in the church. And as a result of my inclination, I chose American Baptist College as a student back in 1958. I was in Nashville where I actually started my involvement in the movement on a formal level of working with the students here at Tennessee State and at Fisk University and Meharry, and actually Peabody and Scarrett had students, and also from Vanderbilt, involved in the sit-in movement. And I met Martin Luther King here in Nashville at Fisk University gym, where he came and gave support to our movement. I then decided that what I wanted to do was to devote full time, after our success here in Nashville, to furthering the cause and bringing about social change. I felt we had to hit while the iron was hot. So like many, went off and volunteered with the Peace Corps or VISTA programs and that sort of thing. There are some few of us, like Diane Nash and John Lewis and Paul Brooks, Lester McKinney, who was a student at TSU. We decided that we were going to spend some time, maybe take off for a couple of years, and work full-time on a voluntary basis with SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So that was my beginning efforts to work with the movement on a full-time basis. Well, I was later picked up by Martin Luther King for his staff, executive staff. And back in mid-60s, I worked with him in the Birmingham movement, the Selma movement, and the Chicago movement. And then I was plucked to be the national program administrator by Martin Luther King. So at first I was a little reluctant about going to work for Martin Luther King on a full-time basis, because I always enjoy doing other things. I believe in variety. But he said, no, I want you to come down to Atlanta. I want you to come and work full-time. I said, well, you know, I'm always going to support you. He said, no, I want you to come and join the staff.
It sounds as if Dr. King was a man who was insistent.
Oh, yes.
Talk about that aspect.
Well, it's a little personal story, and it turns out okay. But Dr. King had told me to come to Atlanta. I said, well, it would be helpful if I had a letter, some kind of description of what you wanted me to do, a title, and also maybe what the salary was, you know, things like that. You know, like, so I could make sure I could pay.
Livelihood kind of thing.
So I could know how much groceries I got to buy or whatever. But he said, okay, if you need a letter, I'll send one to you. Well, some time passed. I think it was like in September, the letter was going to come, and it never came. So there was a crisis in Boston, Massachusetts, with the NSP, Neighborhood Service Projects. I think it was under President Johnson. It picked about 10 cities or 14 cities where they were going to put in a lot of money to try to see if they can make an impact in the urban community by social services and coordinating those things together, et cetera. Well, they had some conflict among some people in the community in Boston, so they had sent for me to come and take over the project so they wouldn't lose the grant. So I said, well, if people have that much